Okay, fourth grade. So we did our Fab 5 artwork where we focused on the primary, secondary, neutral, warm, and cool. Okay, so we did our artwork for that. And today we're going to focus on complementary colors. Now we talked about how complements every primary, so red, blue, and yellow, has a complement, okay, a color that looks really good with it. So the way you find it is going through the color wheel. So red would be green, so you're going straight through. Blue, straight through to orange, and then yellow, straight to violet. Okay, so down here I actually said, okay, here's red and green, yellow and violet, and blue and orange. For this project, you are not focusing on all of them. You're going to pick your favorite combination. So if you want to focus on red and green, that's all you'll use. If you want to do yellow and purple, that's your choice, okay? And then blue and orange. So for this project, each of you received a big piece of paper, and I've also sent a stencil. All right, so for this project, the very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to trace a few circles on my paper. I'm not going to have them overlap. They're not going to touch. So I'm using a Sharpie, using a Sharpie, go nice and slow, okay? And I am going to make some circles around my paper. I will probably, as I'm doing this, probably fit about 4 of them on. I'm even gonna get a little tricky and have one hanging off the paper a little bit. I'll do one more over here. Okay, so notice none of them are overlapping at all. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is pulling out my ruler again. I am going to divide my paper once again. All right, so my equation is the same. I did cut your paper to 15, okay? So this time I'm actually going to do 3 sections. So if you remember last time, we did 5, but today I'm gonna actually do only 3. So if my paper is 15 inches long, I want 3 equal sections. How many inches will each section be? So 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I'm going to take my ruler, match it to the very edge of my paper again, hold it very, very still, okay? I'm going to put 1 dot at the 5. 5 plus 5 is 10, okay? So a dot at the 5, a dot at the 10. Now I'm going to bring my ruler, and we're doing very, very similar idea as our last project, just a different equation. Okay, match it right to the edge. Come over to the 5. Okay, 5 plus 5 is 10. So now I have 2 dots at the 5, 2 dots at the 10. The reason I do that is so then I know my ruler's not going crooked. So if I take my ruler, match up those 2 dots at the 5-inch. Okay, and please remember this is a video, so I know I'm just talking as I'm working. If you need to pause it and catch up. Work at your own pace. Okay, so my ruler is matched up from the very top. I'm going to go all the way down, and I will at times go into my circle. That is good. That's what you want. Okay, so once again, match up my match up my 10-inch. Okay, it's just lining up my ruler. That's why I'm using that right from the top all the way down to the bottom. So now I have 3 sections. They're all equal, each rectangle, and inside each section I have some circles. So today what I did is I was trying to decide, okay, do I want to use red and green? Do I want to use yellow and purple, or do I want to use blue and orange? And I grabbed some blue paint. Now, if you have regular paint right at your house where you're like tempera or acrylic, you can use that. If you need to use your watercolors, that is fine as well, just as long as you have something. I know all of you have watercolors, so if that's what you have, that is fine to use. I'm going to use regular paint just to show you another art medium. Let me grab a paintbrush. I did forget that, so hold on. Okay, so for today only, I have my paper set up and I'm only going to be using blue. So I chose just my primary today. So each section I want you to think is going to be opposite from the other one next to it, and then vice versa. So here I am going to focus in this rectangle. I am only going to focus on making the parts of my circles blue, okay, and leaving the background white. And then the next time I'll show you. It's easier for me to explain it by doing it. All right, so with my blue, I'm only gonna do my circles inside this rectangle. So take your paintbrush, you wanna go nice and smooth all the way around. So the type of art I'm focusing on right now is called op art. So op art is a type of art where artists will kind of use either lines or shapes or colors that make your eyes do like little tricks. Okay, that idea of optical illusion. If you've ever looked at those pictures where if you stare at it long enough, things almost seem to like come out at you. So please notice I'm trying really hard to keep my circle nice and smooth. Now this circle is only in this rectangle a tiny bit, so that's the only part I'm going to do. It's really important. I'm not doing all of my circle, just within this section. All right, so I could even, if you need to, cover this up so you don't get confused. All right, so then this one, I have to be a little bit tighter with my paintbrush. It would be a really good idea if I have a little smaller one for this, but I'm just going really, really gentle. Okay, so I'm not going into any neighbors. Okay, so there's that one. And then I'm gonna come over here and do the same thing. I like to get rid of extra paint in the center and then take my paintbrush nice and smooth around the edges. Now if you're using watercolors, you want to really be careful not to pick up your paper when you're doing this, because watercolor, if you have a little puddle or if it's a little wet, it will drip. You want to keep these nice and clean. I like that for this project, it's clean and crisp, okay? So I have my first rectangle done. Now I'm gonna do the opposite in this one. So instead of doing my circles blue, I'm gonna leave these white, but I'm gonna do my background blue. Okay, so you're gonna be doing some opposite thinking today. All right, so now instead of painting in my circle, I'm going to paint around my circle. And I'm going to just do the background. Nice and smooth. So I like to just outline real carefully, just along the Sharpie lines, drag my paintbrush down. If you get a little on your table or your workspace, it should wash off without a problem. Go around my circle. So you do have to think about the process as you're working. And once I have it all outlined, then I can paint the inside so much more quickly. Okay, and once again, I can keep my paper here just to keep my thoughts within this one rectangle. So if you're someone that chose yellow and violet, you will be doing the same thing. You'll just have to be using a different primary color. And then next art class, we will focus on the complement of that primary. Okay, so you can see. All right, now I'm gonna come over here and I'm kind of doing a pattern. So now I'm gonna go back to my circles being painted and my background being left. Okay. As I'm painting, I do see a teeny little blue that got on my white. I'm gonna just leave that. If I try to mess with it and fuss with it, sometimes it'll become more visible, so I'm just leaving it. If you get a little drop or something, just leave it for now. Okay. Right to the edge. Okay, so this is just the finished part for today, okay? And then after this dries, set this aside in a really safe space, okay? Keep it flat. When we come back in our next art class, we will do the complement. So I will be using orange for all of my whites, all right? So you need to make that decision. Are you doing red and green? Are you doing yellow and violet? Are you doing blue and orange? All right, and remember, you're only doing your primary color for this week. So I hope you have fun with this. I think you'll really enjoy it. But remember, if you need to use watercolors, that's fine. If you don't have access to tempera, this is just tempera paint. This is like, you can get this pretty easily at any store, craft store, or even Walmart, Target, they have it as well. But if you don't have access, it's okay to use your watercolors. If you are not very confident with your watercolors, you can also use markers, okay? There's just a lot to paint with, or to color in with markers. So that's why I'm just leaning towards the paint. So go ahead, start working, share your progress with me, and then I will see you back for the continuation. Have a good day. Okay, fourth grade, so we have spent time talking about complementary colors. You had to make a decision of what primary you were going to focus on, and now today you're going to go ahead and paint with its complement. So last week I spent time working all on my blue, and now that we are in our second week, you are going to go ahead and you can begin with its complement. So blue and orange, they are complementary colors. So I'm going to take my orange, and just like I did with my blue last time, I am going to paint everything that is white, okay? So when you're doing this, you want to paint really, really slowly. My paper is a little bit wrinkled just from the blue paint, so it is a little challenging, okay, but you want to really, really take your time. The end product is going to be fantastic, okay? So just like last week, it's going to be kind of that pattern, okay, or the opposite, where I'm going to do the background, my orange, and then the circles, the orange, and then my background, the orange. So I'm doing that pattern of every other one. And remember, if you get a little bit of paint on your table area, it should clean off, no problem. You can always just put a piece of extra paper, newspaper, a paper bag. I should do that, but I've already started, so I'll have to clean off my tabletop here. And I was explaining, if you have to use watercolors, that's okay. But if you have regular paint, that will work as well. And I did explain last time, if you did this whole thing in marker, your markers would not really have much left in them, because this is a lot to color. All right, so I hope to see all of your finished pieces. I made one big video, so it's kind of a 2-week project. Have fun with it. Make sure you share with me. And don't be afraid as I'm painting, I don't want my hand to go in, so you can always rotate as well. That's another little useful tip to help you. Nice and smooth. A little tricky because you don't want to get it on that blue. And the good thing is my blue is dry. If it wasn't, I could potentially be making brown, which I don't want for this project. Okay. Keep going all the way around. Okay, and then my next area would be my circles for this one. So you can see how eye-catching this can be. Those blues and oranges, they're buddies. They look good together. All right, so I'm gonna finish up, and I hope you all are enjoying. I hope this is a project that you are learning from, and also be lookers. Look on magazines or even TV commercials, or when you're in your cupboard, maybe you find some boxes where people actually think about the complementary colors. That happened to me the other day. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I bought a taco kit at the store, and the box was blue, and in orange writing it said Ortega, and I was like, hey, look at that. They thought about complementary colors. So it's something that we don't always, think about, but now that you know it, you might be watchful for those situations. Okay. All right, boys and girls, have a great day, and like I said, please share your artwork. Okay, bye-bye.